So in our everyday work in the lab, we often use obviously chemicals and other precursors to perform certain tasks, to make things. We also make other things, and sometimes these things we want to make don't actually exist. So we have to grab the tools we have on a limited budget and make our own things. So I thought it would be a good idea just to give you a little tour around the workshop to show you how we go about getting over certain problems. I'll start off with my little tool chest here, my little tool carrier. This is actually just a television stand, but I've cut a hole out. And it's good to keep all your tools in one place, obviously, anybody will know that. You start spreading them across the desk, they end up on the floor, somebody else's hand, and just when you need to lay your hand on a tool, it's not there. So that's a very simple, it's movable on wheels. I can push it over to the side of the lab, get it out of people's way when we're not using it, and it keeps my desk clear. And I'll show you a few other things now. So sometimes we actually have to make machines that don't exist to perform certain tasks for us. Now we've got obviously some standard equipment. Here's a pillar drill, but we work on quite a small level sometimes, and we have to produce small blocks like this and drill them safely without tearing our hands off. So we've come up with a few ideas just to hold little pieces like that, and one of them is the drill clamp or vice. These are quite readily available on the market. This one costs probably $7, £5, something like that. It's only aluminium, but it's got a nice jaws there that I can fit something like this in. Clamp it up. That's now nicely tight. My hands are away from the job, and I can drill through. Nice and safely, and I've got what I need. Recording. Of course, the whole point of this channel is that we do things that you're able to replicate at home, hopefully either in the kitchen or your bedroom or a little workshop that you've got there. So it's all very well having something like a drill press. We're quite lucky. You might not have the space or indeed the budget for one of those. So this is a nice little drill press, and we use this for finer work. You can strap an ordinary hand drill into it on this collar here. In our case, we've got a Dremel because we're doing some fine work. And it's quite simple. I mean, this costs me about £15, $25, something like that. And it's an ideal little drill press. You can get out of the way when you don't need it. It's just very simple to set up as well. You just want to make sure that this back bar is totally square or perpendicular to your plate. And you also need to make sure, if you get the centre hole there and put a square there, I'm slightly out there, you just need to adjust it so your drill bit is going not only perpendicular down, but it's also not to the left or right of that. Very simple piece of equipment, easy to obtain, just right for small jobs. So that's how we drill holes. Another vital piece of kit, if you can afford it, is a little hobby lathe like this one. This is about £300. It's not exactly cheap, but it's vital for some of the work that we do. You would have seen Rob and Ashley perhaps turning wire coils on this. We work with steel that we need to turn down to specific and very accurate sizes for some of the stuff that we put together. And it's very basic. The chuck here holds everything perfectly straight. We've got a head here that holds different tools. That's an offset tool. The other side of the head is a flat tool. And we are getting for this. This comes out just here, and we can put a drill piece on that. So we can actually drill very accurately horizontally. And also, we might be able to turn, if we're lucky and we know exactly what we're doing, turn threads to make screw holes as well. So another vital bit of kit for us. They are cheaper ones on the market, but this one suits us fine. Okay, so that's the drilling. Let's get on to cutting. Now, we don't work a lot with wood where we are, but some of you might have to. And table saws are quite expensive. So I'm a big believer, in fact I enjoy working with hand tools. So I'm just going to show you exactly how I get a nice straight cut, because whatever you're building, it needs to be square and true from the start right the way through to the finish of the product. If you're not square at the beginning, you certainly won't be square at the end. So this is my favourite saw. It's a Japanese pull saw. There are some on the market that are very, very expensive. This one cost me about £10, $15, and it cuts on the pull. And to get a nice straight cut to start with, I'll take a square, and I don't mark with a pencil, I actually mark with one of these. It's a Sharpie or hobby knife. Begin the mark. And we pull a couple of pulls across like that. And this is called a knife wall. There's a lot of good woodworkers on the YouTube that you can follow up. Paul Sellers is a favourite of mine, and this is where I learnt this from. So on that knife mark, we just go in with a chisel all the way along, and that now is a wall that you can place your saw against, and it gives you a nice perpendicular cut all the way through. So it's just an illustration really. I mean, machinery can be expensive. We have a budget that we've had to work to over last year, and I'm sure you have a budget as well. And it's just an illustration to show you that you can spend out a lot of money on electrically operated machinery, if you like, or you can revert to the good old-fashioned method of using hand tools. And a lot of what we do, I actually use hand tools. Okay, so the idea of that short video to explain about different methods we use to overcome little problems. If you can't buy stuff off the shelf, we tend to make it. And there's a prime example. This is what Rob's made, and it's for some graphene filament that we're going to use for 3D printing, or to produce our own graphene plastics. A lot of the stuff we sort of scavenge, motors and things, but there's things like the hopper that Rob needs to knock up. We couldn't find anything on the market that was anywhere near what we needed. Obviously holes drilled, bits of pipe turned, and several connectors. And we could only do this through our own method of working, which really is to make our own stuff as we go. So I hope that was interesting. I hope you can get round spending a lot of money on equipment and make your own little workshops at home. And thanks very much for watching.